Okay, so the Rebbe was explaining that it's important to have the work with the body. If you just work with your neshama, then you're as soon as you finish the davening or you finish the learning, you can go uh, the wrong way. If you work with your nefesh habahamis, with your body, then you'll be protected, and that's the way to be a korban lifnei havaya. So he says, "Ukmei kosav chak admur marashab nishmos Eden." This is by the Rebbe Rashab. He says that the Haneshama is havusa meha'iris. The Neshama's creation comes from Iris. And the Chlolus Iris hu Giluyim. Generally, when we talk about Iris, the Iris of Hashem, the lights, that is the level of revelation. Neshama comes from Giluyim. But the Haguf, the body of a Yid, comes me'atzmus, comes hisavuse me'atzmus. That is brought about into being from the essence, not from Giluyim, but from the essence shemitziusei hu me'atzmusei. The Eibishter's existence is from his essence, from himself. There's nothing that makes him. He is because he needs to be. He is here by his essence. Ve'ein shum ilo v'siba. There is no cause kodemus leichaz v'sholem that comes before him. That's the level of atzmus. That's the level where our neshama comes from. Neshama comes from the atzmus that has no reason before it. So, since the Rebbe Rashab explains, since the neshama comes from Giluyim, and the body, the guf, comes from atzmus, so v'haneshama shehi makira es mailas haguf bozeh. The neshama that recognizes the advantage of the body, that the body comes from a higher level, comes from Atzmus. Vil bakumen atzmi, wishes to receive atzmi. Neshama is only giluyim, but the neshama wants atzmi. Umeshum zeh, and because of that, he roitze lihischaber im haguf v'nefesh habahamis. The neshama wishes, she wants to connect, to be together with the body and the animal soul, un iber arbeten im, and work it through, to work through the guf and nefesh habahamis. That way, it will get the level, the mile of the body, atzmus. L'chein, hinei rotzen v'seichel haneshama atzma mechayiv. The wishes, the want, and the intellect of the soul itself says, obligates, mont, it demands, lischaber maguf, to connect with the body. The neshama itself, it's not like somebody has to push the neshama to work with the guf. The neshama wants to, and the neshama understands, and it demands that it wants to connect with the body. Loi lavoid al yodoi kimoi bedover hanifrod, not to work through the body like something separate, like you brought about before. You can do the mitzvahs outside of the person. You're doing it with something outside. So you work. with your body, just like you put on tzitzis, you work with the wool or you work, but it's not part of you. But he says, no, not just the neshama should use the body as something separate to do the mitzvahs. Ki'im, but rather the neshama wants to lischaberim haguf, to unite, to connect with the body, the lavid biyachad, and to work together with the body in the service of Hashem. That would be an understanding that the neshama itself has in the value and in the importance of connecting and being together to refine and to change the body in order for the neshama and the body to work together, because of the advantage that the neshama has when it works with the body, because it gets from the atzmos, because the neshama comes from giluyim and the body comes from atzmos, and that's why it gets atzmos as well. However, this is also a rationale. We're saying that it has to be higher than Tam Vadas, higher than Havaya. Lifnei Havaya, but this is a calculation that is rational. This is the Ratzon and the Seichel of the Nefesh, of the Neshama, because it realizes the advantage. So he says, Omnom be'emes ein ze maspik adayin, that would not be sufficient. This working with the body, because this brings you to a higher level, so that you should be to the will of Hashem before Havaya, higher than Tam Vadas. Why? Because all this is still a service which is based on the reason, understanding. You appreciate the fact that it's important to work with the body. Shahaneshama mevina ha'ilui da'atzmi. The neshama understands the advantage of the essence. V'lochein reitza atzmi. That's why it wants atzmi. V'lochein evedesim aguf. That's why it works with the body in order to get atzmi. Now, this is reason, yes, but it's a holy reason. It's a reason to connect with Atzmus. The Rebbe continues, Shehu Tam Vadas the Kedusha. Even though this is reason and understanding of Kedusha, aber Mekol Makom Tam Vadas, this is still reason, understanding. We have to get Lifnei Havaya, you have to go beyond Tam, you have to go beyond the reason. You have to go Lifnei Havaya in a higher level. Avol Tachlis Ha'avodahi, the goal of this service is Shaloi Tiyeh Bishvil HaToiv Ha'ilui Sheyikabel Al Yidei Ha'avodah, that it should not be. He shouldn't serve Hashem because of the good and the advantage that he received through his service of Hashem. That shouldn't be his reasoning for doing it, for working. He's doing it because he wants to fulfill the wishes of the Supreme. He wants to fulfill what Hashem wants. Rotzin ha'elyin hu. What is the rotzin of the Supreme of Hashem? Is sheyeh lo yizborech dira b'tachtonim, that it should be for him blessed a dwelling place in tachtonim. It's not to do it because you want the maila of the guf, which is atzmi, but to do it because you want to do what Hashem wants. Hashem wants a dir b'tachtonim. That's why you want to do with the tachtonim. Hainu ba'olam hazeh davke, that is davke in this world. Lochein, and therefore Haneshama shehi chelik eloka mimal, shoma, which is a part of Hashem above. It's part of Hashem. It knows what Hashem wants. Bonim atem, you are children. We are part of Hashem. If the Eibishter wants a dira b'tachtonim, the neshama feels that. Margeshes, the neshama feels as rotzina, the wishes of the Father. Und mishum zeh hu avodoso b'haguf davke, and because of this, the service of the neshama is in the body, because it feels that this is what the Eibishter wants, and it's a part of the Eibishter. It wants it too. ובזה יש גם כן מיילום, אפילו לגבי בחינת שבט. In this service, there is an advantage even with regards to an Eved, because an Eved doesn't feel, an Eved listens. It does what the master wants. But a Ben, a son feels what the master wants. So that's a higher level than even an Eved. Even though this slave is serving not for the reason or the pleasure that he has in the work, he just listens. A slave only fulfills the command of the master. The master commands, he does. He knows what the Adon commands. He knows. But he doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel what he wants. He just does what the king wants. That's an Evan. He doesn't know why the master wants this. As opposed to the neshama is the maile. Bonim atem lahavaya lekechem, you are children to Hashem your God. So afsha avidoso gamkin loy mitzad hatam. Even though the neshama also does not work because it understands, not because of a reason. It does because Kabbalah soil it, accepts it. Kim lekaim rotzena in order to fulfill the wishes of the Father. Avol hi margeshes es rotzena. But the soul feels the will. And she knows the reasoning. She knows the reasoning because she has that inner. It's a chelik alakah. It's a my father. It's a ben. So now we understand why the pasuk it says mikem. You have to work with the neshama, but it has to be min habokar min hatzayin. You have to bring it down to work with the guf and the nefesh habahamis. This is sha'achar oimrei mikem korban lahavaya. After the pasuk says it has to be from you and it's up to you, as we said, the korban lahavaya misayim min habehema min habokar min hatzayin. Then the pasuk concludes that it to be from the animal, the bakar, the mitzvah. The mikem korban lav aye from you korban lav lahaina nefesh alikis. That's the godly soul. Avol, but we want to go even higher. Li yois the roza the kurbana oila ad roza the ein sof. Since the secret of the korban goes up, meaning the idea of a korban goes up all the way to the secret of Ein Sof, higher than Havaya. So therefore, it's not sufficient with Mivkam. You need the behema bakar tzorich min habehema. That's what you need from the animal. You have to work with the animal soul, with the body. Not just generally with the body, but it has to be a detail, because the pasuk enumerates min habokor min hatzoyin, from the cattle or from the sheep, li's boinen, to reflect, ulahamik, and to deeply think beprote in yonei nafshei, in the details of matters of your soul, Vavidose bahagu v'nefesh abahamis, and the service in the body and the animal soul. When you go through the details, mina behema but mina bokaru mina tzoin, specifically to specifically address your detailed matters of the soul and how the soul works with the body, the details of the body. Then you go to the lifnei havaya, the rosa, the kurbano is Ein Sof. So the Rebbe brings out over here that it's not sufficient for the neshama to work with the body because there's an advantage that the neshama gains from the body, but it does it because that's the will of Hashem. And the Rebbe brings out the neshama because it's a ben of Hashem. So when it does the Eibush is rotzen with Kabbalah soil in order to get to Rozo the Ein Sof, to the highest level Ifnei Hashem, and it works with the body, but it doesn't do it just knowing this is what Hashem wants, but it feels and it knows and it understands what it is doing because it's part of Hashem. How do we have the koiches to bring ourselves to the level of Korban Lifnei Hashem, to sort out and work with the Guf and Nefesh Abamis? It starts with Vayikra El Moshe. Moshe gets the koyach, Hashem calls him. And the same thing is to every Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation, to the Rebbe. V'hinei hagdom as parshas hakorbones. The introduction, how did the portion of Kabbalah starts? Who? Vayikra El Moshe. He calls to Moshe. So who, that opening statement is Hanesilas Koyach. That gives the power to bring a korban, alavedas hakorbonis, on the service of korbonis. The av shemikem korban lavayim. Why are we saying that we're getting a koyach from the outside before we learned that we emphasized that it's up to us? Why are we now saying Vayikra el Hashem, Vayikra el Moshe, that Hashem calls to Moshe, gives us the koyach, but don't we have to do it mikem korban lavaya, the af shemikem korban lavaya, even though that it's from you, the korban lavaya, mikem ubechem hadover toluli is korban lavaya. It is from you and on you. It hinges to be a korban lavaya, meaning you could become a korban lavaya. You are able to. So why do we need Vayikra? Why are we saying that Hashem, we get a koyach, that Hashem calls to Moshe, Vayikra Moshe? Because he is in a low level. And the more you reflect, you see more how low you are, and how distant you are. And the person's spirit falls. He gets down because he figures, look where I am. I'm not really able to do this work, because he realizes his low level. That's why the opening is Vayikra El Moshe. The Eibishter calls to Moshe, Shehu Nisinas Yechelus V'Koyach L'Kol Ish V'ish. That's the giving of the ability and the power for each and every person. Liya is korban lahavaya, to become a korban lahavaya, v'afil lifnei havaya, to become to havaya, which is nature, but also lifnei havaya, higher than nature. That's why also the pasuk just says, and he called. It doesn't say Vayikra Hashem El Moshe. Why? This is from a very high and awesome place. This is the Oir HaSev Insof HaSev of Kol Olam. It comes from the light of the infinite which surrounds the world. There's no name there. We say Ata Kodesh v'Shimcha Kodesh. So there's a level of Shimcha Kodesh. Then there's a level of Ata Kodesh, which is not yet Shimcha. There's no name there. It's not Vayikra Hashem, it's beyond, it's Seviv. Ata Kodesh, Shalamailo, Mishimcha Kodesh. The level of Ata Kodesh, which is high the Shimcha Kodesh. The Hine, it's Vayikra al Moshe. So this gives the koyach, because we are on a low level and we need infusion of power in order to be able, so we should be able to do the work of a korban. Isa b'medre, hine Moshe roi Yisrael. Moshe is a shepherd of Israel. The Isa b'medrash, we find in the medrash, shenisu oisoi, how did they test Moshe Rabbeinu if he's going to be a worthy, a proper shepherd? They tested him b'zeh tipel in ketanim b'yoser, is the fact that he took care of very small. The word is small sheep, they couldn't do alone. He carried them over, saw that he is taking care of the small ones. From this, there is the evidence that he's a proper shepherd. That's the proof about Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's the proof about Moshe Rabbeinu in our generation. In every generation, the proof of the Moshe Rabbeinu is that he takes care even of the small. This pashtusa the Moshe b'chol dora v'dora, because Moshe, who was at the time in the Torah, his expanding is in every generation. Shehem roye Yisrael sheb'chol dora v'dora. Those are the Jewish shepherds in every generation. Hinehem hamamshichim koyach alavedas harkarbonis. They are the one vayikra Moshe. They are the ones that bring down koyach alavedas harkarbonis for the service of karbonis liyosa memutza mechaber. They are an intermediary that connects memutza bein havaye ubeinechem, intermediary between Hashem and you. That's the Rebbe, that's the Roya, the shepherd. Shumamutza Machaber, he's an intermediary that connects us. Parentzik unites, Oilumis mitalakus al yidei neshamas. He connects the worlds with godliness through the souls. That's what Moshe does. And this is bringing the dwelling place of Hashem blessed in the lower world. To make a sanctuary so Hashem will rest within each and every one, which is everybody's responsibility. So he, the Roya, who takes care of even the small, that's the taker. So in other words, we're small. They give us the koyach. He connects us and helps us make our dir b'tachtonim. We're supposed to make a dir b'tachtonim. Each and every one is supposed to make that. It's the Rebbe, the Roya, that connects us and helps us do that. And one of the main services of making a dir b'tachtonim, to making a mikdash in the tachtonim, and like we said before, to reflect on your standing and your situation, on your own. In other words, don't try to impress anybody or show or hate, not to cheat yourself. Don't fool yourself. And still we tell the person, while you're seriously considering yourself, that it's from you and up to you. This matter hinges to fix that you should be complete without any blemish, and to bring from you a korban, and the korban should come from the animal, come from the gashmis, from the behema. How is this? It is through being tied to the Rebbe, tied to the Roya, tied to Moshe Rabbeinu. He keeps on adding and growing higher. In the expanded of Moshe, the Rebbe, which is in every generation. In this expansion of Moshe, there's also the essence. All Yidei Zehu Miskasherim Havayikra Moshe with in the Vayikra, the one who called Moshe, without higher than Seviv, not even Hashem, which means in the Ato Kodesh, the Leis Machshov Tfisa Beklal, that no thought can capture him. V'nim Shachshal Heves Yudke Eishel Milo, and it brings down that flame of Yudke the Eishel Milo. That's by being connected to Vayikra Moshe that gives him the koyach to get from the highest level, to get down that shall have a yudke. The bazen nichlal korban, then the korban is included. The korban the eshel mailo. And that's the way the Eibishter dwells within you. So likewise, this is in general by the Lerei Yisrael. As it relates to our generation, Yisrael, the shepherd and the leader of Israel, of the Jewish people. He taught us the straight path. We should follow in his ways, and his path. What we should do, what we shouldn't do. He is the one that gave us directions, what we should do, what should not do. Through that was given, and he extended the power. Each and every one, in any situation in which you find yourself, in one instance, in 1 second, you can prepare yourself to bring from you a korban la'avaya. You should make a korban for yourself. That your powers and your talents, your chushim, should be included in the fire of above. We can do it. The Rebbe gave us the koyach and the directions that no matter which conditions we find ourselves, in 1 instant we can change ourselves around and we can become a korban LaHashem and be included in the fire of above, in the Shalheves Yudke that the Rebbe gave us. Not only your neshama, but also the body from the cattle of the sheep. Yakriv, he'll bring in an offering. And through this hakrova, you'll rotzen lifnei havaya, because when you involve the boker and tzoin, it's lifnei havaya l'maylam havaya. Like the Rebbe writes in the Maimer of Basi Legani, the Kadiskafia Sitra Achra, that when you subdue the other side, then the glory of Kuchabrich in all worlds, which is the level, what comes down in the worlds, the Kulam, the Sev of Kulamim, that's the Sev of Kulam, which is equal in all worlds. That should be extended through the service of his kafia sitra achra, by subduing the other side. When you work with the guf and nefesh habahamis, min habokar min hatzoin, then you go lifnei havaya, you get the istalik yikora, you get the kulalm, the same kulalmim, through working with your guf and nefesh habahamis. When each and everyone will fulfill this, so individually, then the general vitality of this world, Kedusha, will be elevated to Kedusha. The glory of Hashem will fill the entire world. This is the goal of the days of Mashiach, the resurrection of the dead. Tachlis u'shleimus brias olam, the ultimate goal and the wholesomeness of the creation of the world, b'meir of Yameinu, quickly nowadays. Okay, so done this mimer. We'll continue tomorrow, Bez Hashem, to the next mimer.